Straight ahead on 12 News, what can be an expensive fix.
So I'm clearing the snow from the roof before we steam.
Why professional ice dam removers say it's the busiest winter in decades. Then an old scam is back. What the Better Business Bureau wants you to know about the One Ring scheme. But first, police called in to investigate a fire in Brooklyn Center. Why officials say the fire was no accident. 12 News starts right now. We'll have more on those stories in a moment, but first, a Maple Grove City Council member has entered a guilty plea to stealing thousands of dollars from her dying father.
That's according to the Hennepin County Attorney's Office. Leanne Sargent had power of attorney over the finances of her father, Robert Bobletter, in the last 4 years of his life. The County Attorney's Office says Sargent admitted using her father's credit cards to buy inventory for her home, handbag, and sales job. Prosecutors say she admitted stealing more than $35,000. Sargent entered a plea to one felony count of financial exploitation of a vulnerable adult. That plea has not yet been accepted by the court. Last year, Sargent told 12 News her father was aware of the transactions. Sargent has served on the Maple Grove City Council since 1991. She referred us to her attorney, who did not immediately return our call. A fire destroyed a Brooklyn Center duplex early this morning, displacing several residents and killing a family dog.
Brooklyn Center firefighters responded to the 7200 block of West River Road shortly before 2:30 this morning. And as Delane Cleveland reports, investigators say the fire may have been the work of an arsonist.
A combination of icicles and charred wood are the only remaining things from a place that was once called home.
It was a big surprise to me.
Bob Johnson owns this duplex along West River Road.
I'm helping the person on the other side, which wasn't burnt so much, but we got to get this stuff out of there. So that's trying to do what we got to do.
The fire was through the roof when I got here.
Brooklyn Center Fire Chief Lee Gatlin said it took 30 firefighters close to 4 hours to get the fire under control.
Because the roof had collapsed, so we did what's called a defensive attack. And we kept doing that until we got the bulk of the fire knocked down, and then we were able to get in.
Inside, they found 2 dogs, one of which had perished. The residents, however, were able to escape. The homeowner said 4 people lived in this house, 2 people in each unit, and one of them was his granddaughter, who he believes suffered smoke inhalation.
I think she was trying to put it out, and I haven't talked to her, and I'm not even sure which hospital. So
Chief Gatlin suspects the fire may have been set on purpose after residents told him they were involved in a dispute before the fire started.
We suspect that arson was the way the fire took off so fast. By the time the guys deployed their hoses out, this thing had taken off. And so fires typically don't burn that fast.
I have not heard that, and that's probably not true, but I have not heard that.
One thing that is true is that there was no human loss of life. And for that, Johnson is grateful things didn't turn out worse.
Oh, sure. And I hope my granddaughter's okay.
In Brooklyn Center, Delane Cleveland, 12 News.
Fire Chief Lee Gatlin said he's turned the investigation over to the state fire marshal, who will determine the exact cause of the fire.
This wickedly cold and snowy winter has been a challenging one for crews that clear the roads. Now, local cities are keeping a careful eye on their road salt supply.
I don't think I can find some salt someplace quickly to replace this, unless we go to Home Depot and get it in bags.
What you see is what they have for road salt in the city of Plymouth. There's about 1,400 tons of salt left for the rest of the season, but they've already used more than 2,500 tons. With little opportunity for any thawing out, Plymouth crews are continually plowing and clearing the roads. Meantime, the salt supplies are dwindling because it's not just Minnesota dealing with this rough winter.
There's more people using salt this year probably than ever, just because the cold temperatures have gone so far down to the, other states down south further. They're grabbing up salt for what they need. I mean, who knows, when they need to use salt in Georgia, it's getting bad.
If salt supplies get too low, Smith says they will start mixing salt with sand to make it last a little longer. The extreme cold weather is also causing problems for homeowners.
Many residents in the Northwest Metro have an issue with ice dams, and as reporter Sonia Goen shows us, it can be troublesome to fix.
Because of the amount of snow and then it not being tremendously warm, so there's a lot of snow on people's roofs.
Look around any neighborhood and you're bound to see rooftops that are covered with snow.
There's a lot of snow in back.
But don't let the picturesque scene fool you.
Most people kind of ignore it until they have a leak inside.
It could be problematic. Jeremy Charles has spent a lot of time up on roofs lately. He's been busy clearing ice dams.
If your vents get covered, the heat builds up in the attic, that melts the snow that's on the shingles. It comes to the edge of the roof, and then at your soffit, you have an overhang here, that cold air is coming up underneath and it refreezes at the edge when it hits the air.
For some people, icicles hanging on your roof are kind of pretty, but experts say it could be a sign that something ugly is going on with your roof.
If you have icicles coming through there, that's a sign that water is getting into your attic.
The Plymouth homeowner called after he spotted water coming inside the house through a window.
There's a puddle 1.5 inches deep that I'm stepping in right now.
It's going to take hours to destroy the mess that Mother Nature has left behind.
So I'm clearing the snow from the roof before we steam.
After the snow is removed, Jeremy fires up the motor on the steamer. The high-powered hot water removes the ice. He says you can avoid ice dams by taking care of two things:
insulation and ventilation, and they're equally important. You want to keep the heat in your house, and you actually want to keep the roof deck or the shingles cold.
In Plymouth, Sonia Goins, 12 News.
You can also avoid ice dams altogether by cleaning your gutters twice a year, because blocked gutters and downspouts can also cause ice dams.
Small but passionate crowds made their voices heard at Tuesday night's Precinct Caucuses. 12 News stopped by Republican and DFL Precinct Caucuses in Senate District 40, which includes Brooklyn Park and Brooklyn Center. The caucuses help shape political party platforms. For DFLers, we heard about raising the minimum wage. At the Republican caucuses, it was an opportunity to vote for a candidate to challenge Governor Mark Dayton this fall.
This is the way I started getting involved, as I showed up at a caucus, didn't know what I was doing, didn't know what to expect, started to get involved, dipped my toe in, became a delegate the next time I showed up, and it's been a lot of fun.
Too many people are not willing to take the step to get involved, and because of the unknown factor. And for somebody that maybe hasn't been involved very much, encourage them to be willing to stand up and participate in a caucus.
In the non-binding Republican straw poll for governor, former House Minority Leader Marty Seifert led the field, followed by Lakeville State Senator Dave Thompson. Hennepin County Commissioner Jeff Johnson of Plymouth was third, and State Representative Kurt Zellers of Maple Grove came in fifth. In the non-binding GOP poll for U.S. Senate, Chanhassen State Senator Julianne Ortman had the most votes to challenge incumbent Al Franken.
Plymouth is moving forward with plans to improve the Hilde Performance Center. The park is full of snow right now, of course, as you can see, but after music in Plymouth this summer, work is expected to start on a new central entrance, new restrooms, and trail improvements. City Council worked with consultants this week on what those areas should look like. Plans are also in the works for a Veterans Memorial that would include a grove of trees, artwork, and a recognition wall. No decisions have been made yet on what that wall will look like. The estimated cost for the upgrades is $1.4 million. The work expected to be finished in time for Music in Plymouth in 2015.
In Brooklyn Park, a replacement has already been identified for the Rainbow Foods grocery store, which is set to close in just a couple of weeks. Dragon Star Oriental Foods will move into the Rainbow space. It also owns and operates an Asian supermarket in St. Paul. It's unclear when Dragon Star will open. City officials say the company has already applied to operate a farmer's market in the parking lot on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. Still ahead, a warning from the Better Business Bureau about an old scam making a comeback.
And then later in sports, the Totino-Grace Benilde boys hockey matchup features a big comeback.
But first, no winter storms, just plain cold. The chilly weather will stick around into next week.
If you upgraded your electronics over the holidays or for the Super Bowl, the question now is what to do with the old ones. A Golden Valley-based nonprofit offers free electronics recycling while providing jobs for people who face barriers to employment. Last year, Tech Dump recycled 2 million pounds of electronics and doubled its number of employees. With spring cleaning and organizing top of mind for many now, Tech Dump expects to recycle even more electronics this year. Experts say it's a scam that hasn't been used in more than 10 years.
But it's back. Scammers are using cell phones to pin people with unsolicited charges. Reporter Shannon Slatton has more on this story in a Money Savers report.
I don't really get international calls very often.
Heather Davis of Brooklyn Park looked twice.
Nobody would be calling me from there.
When she saw this strange number pop up on her cell phone.
I got calls on Wednesday and Friday from, I don't even know, Antigua.
Davis was one of many targeted in what the Better Business Bureau calls the one-ring scheme.
People's cell phones will ring one time, and most people don't get to their phone quickly enough and the call disconnects.
The Better Business Bureau sent out a warning this week that the one-ring scheme is targeting our region. Recent reports indicate the calls come from Antigua with the prefix of 268.
In North Dakota, the big number was 473. That's the number everyone was getting in North Dakota. The prefix was 473, Grenada. Well, now our area is getting hit by 268, Antigua.
The problem isn't getting a phone call from a number you don't know. It's calling that number back that may result in unwanted charges on your phone bill.
Because what we're hearing is when you do call that number back, your call gets shunted into either an international chat line or even adult entertainment, and the goal is to keep you on the phone as long as possible, keep those charges racking up.
So the Better Business Bureau says ignore the curiosity of the unknown number and don't call back. Then,
I think all people right now who get calls like this from international phone numbers should really be vigilant, check their cell phone bill. If you see an odd charge, especially like 1995, that seems to be a number we're hearing about, contact your carrier right away, and in most cases, I think they will reverse that charge.
In Brooklyn Park, Shannon Slatton, 12 News.
The Better Business Bureau says the scam started out west at the beginning of the year. Other prefixes like the Dominican Republic, Jamaica, and the British Virgin Islands have also been used in this scam. Tricky, always so tricky, right?
How are you going to know?
That's right. Don't answer. So, or don't call back.
Yeah,
Still
right.
ahead, how Plymouth hopes to put a little art in a higher light.
But first, in sports, it is National Signing Day for college-bound football players. John Jacobson reveals where local athletes are headed next. A lot of these decisions are probably already made, but still a big day for student athletes putting their name on the paper.
Absolutely.
Proud parents,
Yeah,
right?
Proud Parents Day, it's all that, all in one. Not the same feeling as scoring a touchdown or winning a race or scoring a goal, but National Signing Day is for most student athletes just as big of a deal, just in a different way. Today was National Letter of Intent Day for several local athletes. Football is the big sport that is recognized. At Wayzata High School, 3 of the 8 signees were football players, including Gophers recruit Brandon Lingen. Cross country, track and field, and soccer athletes also signed at various schools. 5 boys and 1 girl were honored at a ceremony this afternoon at Hopkins. And at Maple Grove this morning, there was a ceremony for 8 seniors, 5 of them from the Crimson's 10-1 football team. Here's what a handful of local signees had to say today.
You know, growing up in Minnesota, I was always a big Minnesota sports fan. I always cheered for the Vikings and Gophers, and I knew right away where I always wanted to go, and I'm just happy I got to make that dream a reality.
It feels good, you know, having someone wanting you to come and play for them, and it just shows that hard work pays off. And I mean, all the hard work I've put in throughout my whole career finally pays off, and it feels good to get this over with.
Big Ten football. Well, it'd be one of the greatest experiences of my life. Being able to go on to Kinnick Stadium with all my team, my family, my new family, that'd be crazy. I think I just got a great opportunity. I'm not going to waste it.
I like how they like to win. That's what I like the most. I also liked how it just felt like home when I went on my official visit. And I also liked the other recruiting coaches and that whole other coaching staff, but since they left, they brought in a bunch of great new guys, and I appreciate them as well.
Here now is a look at a list of the local Division I and Division II signees today. Since January 9th, the Totino-Grace boys hockey team had gone 7-2 and looked to continue that good streak at home against rival Benilde St. Margaret's. The first period, Benilde's Chase Jungles finds Carter Rue, and it's the former Totino Stars goal that makes it 2-0 Red Knights. Second period, Peter Heimbold's shot is redirected in by Nate Meyer, and it's 4-0 Benilde, and it looks like they're on their way to a win. But Grace rallies. Cutter Lyons shoot. Joey Bray pops in the rebound to get the Eagles on the board. And then Kai Barber, great move around the defenseman, whistles the shot top shelf for the Eagles goal, and it's 4-2. Third period now 4-3, a scrum in front of the Benilde goal, and Barber pokes it in, and we are tied at 4. And Grace completes a great comeback. Jacob Homer scores for a 5-4 Eagles lead. They go on to win it 6-4. They'll host Irondale on Saturday. Maple Grove's boys swimming and diving team won the Northwest Suburban Conference title last week. On this week's Sports Jam show on Channel 12, Jason Malillo profiles Crimson standout Mike Rouleau, who is back in the high school ranks after competing as a club swimmer. Here's a clip from that story.
Now a senior, Rouleau is back with the Crimson. Friendship and coaching has brought him back to high school swimming.
I've got a lot of friends on the team. I see them every day at school, but I always want to hang out with them a little bit more. And I get to be with them in the water, and it's a lot of fun. I think it's great to get feedback from a variety of coaches, and I've had the opportunity to work with several great ones. And Ron is definitely another one of those that has given me a lot of feedback and is able to critique me on especially the finer points of my technique.
It's been great having him here because he kind of helps me elevate my game a little bit. When you sit down and talk to him, you kind of see he's very kind of analytical and he knows the sport extremely well. So, when I sit down and talk with him, I have to make sure that, I know exactly what I'm talking about.
You can watch the rest of that story and more this week on Sports Jam. It's on through Wednesday evening here on Channel 12 and on our website anytime at 12.tv. And that's a look at sports for today.
All right, thanks, John. We'll be right back. And finally, an opportunity to put art in a higher light.
The city of Plymouth is once again seeking entries for the 8th annual Street Lamp Banner Competition. It's a way to beautify the streetscape in Plymouth City Center. Entries will be accepted through February 20th. There's prize money involved for the winning designs, which will be chosen by the Plymouth Arts Council. The winning designs will be displayed on light posts this summer. The voter-approved legacy amendment helps to fund this project, and it helps, give it some sense of character down there.
That's right.
Doesn't it?
When done right, it looks beautiful.
Yeah, it is good. That's it for now. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
We'll see you back here tomorrow. Community Corner is coming up next.